Okay, here's the final lesson. Hopefully you followed along enough to get to this point right here. If not, sorry. Anyway, just back up and keep doing it. You will get it. Earlier, I just want to go over earlier, if you hold down Command and click any of the layer icons at any time, you will select all the pixels in that layer itself. And you can easily inverse those pixels and then use your brush on the correct layer to make that fine cutout. So if you're having troubles with that, if you see like the bottom part of your face overlapping the edge, like right in here, the edge between your face and the face below it, then you have selected the outside edge of the rim copy layer. You need to select the inside by selecting the rim shot layer, whichever one it is that you're working on, and inverse the selection. Just use your wand in that case and select it, because if you select this layer by holding down Command and clicking the rim shot layer, you'll select both of them. And when you invert, you're inverting this inside and the outside. So when your brush moves over the rim, it will move onto the face, which you do not want. You just want the inside or the outside, whichever you work on. All right, moving on. You should have something like this. It doesn't really look real. We're going to bring in some clouds and we're going to add some shadow to the face to make it look like it's more realistic. And we're going to do that by creating new layers, use our brush tool and paint with black at a low opacity at a hard brush, and then we're going to use filter blur, Gaussian blur, and blur that brush layer that we paint on there. So let's start with the very bottom layer. If we don't hold down Command at any time, or get our move tool and make sure we're on layer now, not group, but layer, and hold down Command or use our move tool and click the layer with auto selected, it will select that layer. So here we are. Right here, we're going to create a new layer just above it by clicking a new layer icon. And we're going to hit B for our brush, and this time we're going to change it. We're going to drop it way down, anywhere from 20 to 30%. I'm going to go about 23. And be sure to choose a brush that's hard, not soft, hardness all the way up. I'm just going to choose the second one over here and make it the size, I don't know, about maybe a little bit bigger than that. Yeah, right about there. And you'd be the judge how you want to do this. Just simply brush with black, Command Z, there we go. Black in the front, and you just want to brush and hold your brush down the entire time as you run across here. There we go, right in there. And maybe a little bit more right here. Now I know that looks terrible, but we're getting ready to fix it. We're just going to go up to Filter, Blur, and we're going to run some Gaussian blur. You can use a different blur if you want. It doesn't matter, but Gaussian blur seems to work the best. And we're going to jack this up to about 90 to 100-ish. And you'll see the change if you have the preview icon on. You can see before and after. And then when you think you kind of like it, just click OK. If it's too heavy, hit E for your eraser and make sure you're on the correct eraser tool. And with a very light opacity, again, maybe 30%. But this time a very soft eraser brush, you can go in here and erase the black that you painted in to fine tune it the way you want it. So I'm just clicking and dragging and erasing some of this in here just to mix it up a little bit. And then if you need a little more blur, feel free, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. This time you don't want to go as much because you've already done 90. Let's go about there, 70. Perfect. So you can see what it does before and after, before and after, before and after. Okay? So go through all your faces and do a little bit of different shadow underneath the eyes, in the darker areas. Just keep in mind that you have a central light that's already in these images. You see the shadow underneath my chin, so the light is coming down, probably dead center. But if you want to, add some dramatic effects to it, put a heavy dark edge along the bottom of the face that you're working on. So do that and come back and see me. Okay, hopefully you've brushed all the way up. Once you get on the very top, I'm going to finish mine up here, creating a new layer. Oops, Command Z, I forgot I changed my brush a minute ago. And nice and soft. There we go. Back in the front. I'm just going to brush way down in here this time. Oops. Why is it on top of that? Well, either way, we're going to clip it in a minute anyway, so it's no big deal. Filter blur, Gaussian blur. I'm going to do it again. That one's a little too heavy, so let's take my eraser, bring my face back just a little bit. There we go. Now go back through and take your shadow layer and clip it to that layer just above it. That way, this one's right here. Just right-click the layer that the shadow's on, and then lower it to the, or make it a clipping mask, like right-click, clipping mask. That way the darkness doesn't bleed over into the background. Very important. If you don't do this, your next step, you're going to see the shadow that you just created on the background with the clouds, and we don't want that. That looks terrible. So make sure you go back through and clip all of your mask layer or your shadow layers to the layer below it. You should have something a little like this. So you can really see by eyeballing on and off the difference that you make when you do that. So when you're done with that, go ahead and close all of your groups so you got a little less to work with. Bottom, 1, 2, and then the top. And let's bring in the clouds. So if you want, go ahead and open the clouds. I do believe I have it under Open Recent. Let's see. Wow. Oh, my Open Recent's gone. Okay. Wonderful. Clouds. I think that's what it's called. There it is right there. Let's open it. Oh, this one's probably the small one. I hope not. Either way, I'm going to use it. Yes, it's the small one. We don't want that. W. Alright, open up your clouds, come back. Okay, hopefully you've opened up your clouds. Use your move tool and drag it over. Notice when I dragged it over, it thought I wanted to put it as a clipping mask because I had the clipping mask selected. You want to drag it to the very bottom of all of your images, but above, obviously above the background. That should be visibility icon dechecked. And once you got it over there, go ahead and close it. If you don't have the full res version, please download the zip, again, the zip file that I've posted on Edmodo for you. Bring in your clouds. Now right now it's a little too bright, it's, you know, and it also doesn't fit down here. So please hit Command T and make it fit. You can stretch clouds because they don't have any body parts and you can't tell if they're stretched or squashed or anyway. So you don't have to hold down Shift. There we are. We brought in the clouds, and I feel like it's too sharp, too bright, too fake looking. So let's blur the clouds so they look like they're in the distance. With the cloud layer highlighted, just go up to Filter, Blur, and this time we're going to use Lens Blur. Lens Blur tends to use a little bit more RAM, so it takes a little while to render sometimes. Now, the blurriness is adjusted by the radius right here. So set your radius where you want it. I have mine right in the middle at 49. I'm going to click OK. And that's way too heavy. You see how blurry that is? If you over blur something or over filter anything, you can always go up to Edit and you can fade the last filter you used by dropping the percentage of how much you used it. So that's what I'm going to do here instead of undo. I'm going to bring this in, and I just want to keep it blurry, but not that blurry. There we go. Those kind of look like they're in the distance now. Now I'm going to go to the very top layer and select it. Now I should have all of these closed. There we go. Just like that. And I'm also going to group these guys at the top, Command G, and we're going to call this one top. There we go. So I have it nice and clean over here. Let's create a new layer just above all of these layers right here. And let's go over to Filter, actually no, Image, Adjust, and a Photo Filter. Let's add some, oops, we can't do that. We can't put it on an empty filter. What am I thinking? I'm going to throw that in the trash. With top selected, we're going to hold down Shift and select everything that has the eyeball on it. And we're going to put those together as its own layer. So Command, Alt, Shift, E will do that for you. And now you can decheck everything but your very top layer, and here you have your finished product. Let's apply a filter to the whole outlook and see what we get. So with that layer selected now, we can go over to Image, Adjustment, Photo Filter, and you choose what you want to use. There's a bunch of them here. I like the warm look. I'm going to go with this warm look right here and bring up the density. There we go. Add it, make it like an old photo or something. A yellow. I don't know about that. I kind of like what it does in the background, but not in the foreground. So instead of doing that, let's go ahead and dupe that layer, Command J. And let's apply that filter to the front and make a quick mask and keep my skin tone the same. So we're going to go Image, Adjustment, Photo Filter again. This time we're going to use whatever we want to use. We're just looking at the background. Let's go violet. That's crazy. Maybe, let's keep it warm. I'm going to jack up this. There we go, nice and yellow. There we go, that's good. Okay, so you can see the difference between what we had and what we went with, but I kind of like, I don't like looking jaundicey yellow like this as much as I like the background being yellow. So I'm going to create a layer mask right here. Just hit new layer mask, and I'm going to hit my brush, and I'm just going to make a selection, or make a brush in a certain area, and then blur that Gaussian that brush. We're going to Gaussian blur that brush. So with the black in the front, B for our brush, opacity nice and low. But this time I'm going to go a little bit bigger so I can just paint right down by holding down my click. And I'm painting, and you can kind of see it turning yellow back to my original skin tone. There's one round, and now I'm going to do it again. And you can see the brush working over here. So I'm just kind of painting the middle of me in just like that, and a little bit more. And if you want to really see what the brush is looking like, you can hold down Alt and click the actual brush, and it shows you what you're brushing. So sometimes it's better to work like this so you can actually see, and if you hold down Alt, click it, and it'll bring it back. It's a pretty handy little tool there. So brush myself out just a little bit like in here, and then bring it back and see what we get in here. There we go. That's pretty good. Now let's go ahead and merge these layers by holding down Shift and selecting them both, and we can Command E, which will merge them together back into one layer. Now let's add a little blur. So let's Command J in case we mess up. And we're going to go Filter. Now let's, Filter, Blur. And this time we're going to use, let's go Gaussian Blur as well. And let's blur it down just a little bit. Perfect. So it's nice and blurry like this. Don't worry about it. We're going to make a mask because this is sharp, so we're going to make it nice and blurry. Well, about like 3 pixels. And now let's make another mask. And with our brush, again with black, let's jack our opacity all the way up to 100. And we got black in the front. I'm just going to click and run my mouse straight down the areas that I want to stay sharp. I don't want to get all the way out on the ear, and I definitely don't want to get out on those clouds. And I've basically just creating a little bit of a funky little transition there. If you hold down Command and click, Command Z, hold down Alt and click, you can see the mask itself. Now I should have sharpened the edge of the brush, but that's okay. We're going to do a little bit of a Gaussian blur on this mask. With it selected, we can filter, blur, Gaussian blur that mask. We can click right along the transition right in here, and it gives us the preview right there. And I like a nice soft transition. I'm going to drag this up. There we go, right about there we go. And now overall I'm going to lower the opacity on that whole layer. Excellent. Now I'm going to highlight both those layers and Command E, put them together. And there's our final product. You can do a save as, you can do an export layers to files, you can do whatever you want to do, just as long as you save this as the Photoshop document it is. So it's layered. And then export a JPEG, a PDF, whatever you want for the rest of your product, and turn it in. All right? Should look good. Excellent. Thank you.